All right, let's talk about a big one. On September 24th, 2025, EASA dropped Airworthiness Directive 2025-0210. This is a really critical safety update for the Airbus A350. So we're going to break down exactly what this 80 means, the root cause, who's affected, and what you need to do about it. Here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll get into the fastener flaw that started this whole thing. Then, the really serious part, the lightning strike risk. We'll look at exactly which aircraft are on the list, what the required fix actually is, and finally, how you can start planning for compliance. Okay, so first up, let's get to the root cause. This whole directive really boils down to two specific problems that happened during production. So the issue is located in the center wing box. You got two things happening at once. First, some fasteners were put in without the proper double layer of sealant they're supposed to have. And second, the fasteners they used are specific type, EN6115 code B, which are known to have a tendency to rotate. It's really the combination of these two flaws that creates what EASA calls the unsafe condition. So let's dig into that a little more. Why do these two seemingly small production flaws add up to something EASA considers a major unsafe condition? Well, the danger comes from a very specific chain of events, a sort of domino effect that could compromise a critical safety system on the aircraft. Here's how it plays out. You've got the missing sealant and the rotation-prone fasteners. Together, they can cause the fastener to lose its clamping force. Basically, it starts to come loose. As it loosens, that movement cracks the protective sealant cover that's over the nut. And this is the crucial part. That tiny crack creates a breach, an electrical pathway that was never meant to be there, and it totally compromises the aircraft's lightning strike protection. And EASA does not mince words about what could happen next. The document says it right there in black and white: risk of a fuel tank explosion and consequent loss of the airplane. You know, when you read a line like that, you understand immediately why this is a mandatory directive. So the next logical question for any operator is my aircraft on that list? Let's identify exactly which A350s are covered by this directive. The AD applies to a very specific group of 109 Airbus A350-941 aircraft. And these are the specific manufacturer serial numbers you need to be aware of. It's really important for operators to get their fleet list out and check it against these exact MSN ranges. If your aircraft serial number isn't here, you're not affected by this particular issue. Okay, we know the problem, we know which aircraft are affected. Now let's talk about the solution, the technical fix that EASA is mandating. The maintenance work flows through four pretty clear steps. First, the maintenance team has to get access to the center wing box. Second, they have to replace every single one of the affected fasteners. Third, they apply an extra layer of protection, a head nut cap. And finally, of course, they have to document everything to show the work's been done and the aircraft is compliant. So the core action is straightforward: replace the parts and add new protection. But the devil is always in the details, right? All of the specific technical instructions are laid out in the Airbus Service Bulletin A350-57-P094. That is the go-to document for anyone carrying out this work. All right, let's shift gears a bit and look at this from a different perspective. What does this mean for camo, for planning teams, and for the commercial side of the airline? This is the number that everyone involved in planning is going to care about most: 78 months. That is the compliance window you have to work with. So that's 78 months, which is 6.5 years. It starts ticking on October 8th, 2025. That gives a final deadline of April 2032. Now that might sound like a long way off, but given the scope of this work, you really need to start planning now to get this integrated into your heavy maintenance visit schedules. So from a management and planning standpoint, there are four huge takeaways. 1, this job is going to require scheduled downtime for the aircraft. 2, you've got to plan ahead for the man hours and getting the parts you need. 3, the earlier you start planning, the less it's going to disrupt your operations. And 4, success here is all about tight coordination between your camo, maintenance, and planning teams. And that brings us to the final and most important question. It's the one every operator of an affected A350 needs to be asking themselves right now. The risk is clear, the deadline is set. So is your organization's compliance plan ready? Because the time to start building that plan is right now.